Well, Sam, now that everything's all live and shit, it's very important for you to hear these words of wisdom that a wise bard said to me one fateful night at the tabletop.
He's about to start cooking, guys.
Yeah. And those words were... ... Wait for it.
The dramatic
Penis
pause.
envy is actually hereditary.
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute, what?
Yeah, you see, wise bards say, penis envy is actually hereditary.
Let this man cook, alright? he's saying something. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
It's certainly a something.
Would you like to
how's
elaborate?
your week this week, Sam?
Hold on, wait.
You can't just throw that shit out there and not elaborate.
My week has been alright. I'm a working man.
A working dude. You the working homeboy? Is that what this is?
I do work. For what feels like forever, but it could be worse.
Have you tried it not being forever?
I would love to. What about you, man? How are you doing?
Nah, dude, it's been a tiring week. Honestly, I'm just like, well, what am I gonna do, right?
Right.
I swear, like, the stream tonight was just a shit show. Hour late, gotta go.
At least we finally got it all situated and finally got it all figured out so that we could hang out with our guest here.
Oh yeah, we do have one of those this time. I swear, we're not faking this one. Not that we have been accused of such things.
Have we?
Possibly. I don't know. First, we'd have to get negative feedback and
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, yeah. First there's feedback, then there's negative feedback.
Right. But yeah, this alleged guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hello. My name is Dusk2Night. I don't really know how to actually
he doesn't
turn this out.
He doesn't word very much.
Not really. Still working on it.
Well, I understand that you're kind of breaking into the whole streaming thing. We've had Dusk2Night at the tabletop many a time at our tables. A frequent, reoccurring character, if you will.
Yes. He was in one of my games for a brief period.
But, without further ado, I think we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, Sam. Let's start the show.
Start it up.
Oh, what? Did I cue the intro and did it not go?
I didn't hear anything.
No.
No.
Damn.
No.
What the hell? Nothing but technical issues tonight.
What about... that's a weird segue.
Maybe Fen can cut it in.
I suppose so. It's the weirdest thing. But hey. Oh! I hear it faintly. What the fuck?
I don't hear anything.
What a strange time we
We
live
will ask Fen to do it, please.
in.
You can go ahead and cut
Technical
the-
difficulties as
You
always.
just pretend we played it.
Yeah. Pretend that you're hyped, because welcome to Dungeons and Talkshows, the talk show that brings you monsters, news, and homebrews. I am your host, Orion, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Sam.
Let me introduce myself, goddamn.
You'll be introduced when you're introduced.
One of these days, man, we'll get the vibe.
Vibe check on aisle 4. I wonder, could this be the one?
Oh, there's the intro. And I hear it now.
We've done it!
Amazing.
It's there!
We know what we're doing.
Out of order!
Today has been a night.
It's been a night. But, you know, like any night, I'm personally, you know, glad that we got this hobby going, because I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's game. Things have been tension building. People almost drowned. Water is deadly, folks. Deadly shit. And as it stands, like, if you haven't tried drowning your players as a DM, might I suggest, you know, whatever the technical term for water phobia is. Aquaphobe?
Aquaphobe.
It's gotta be aquaphobe.
Yeah, I mean, as fun as that was, it was also horrifying for me as well, as that was not my intention for that to I mean, I guess ultimately, yeah, that is the intention of the creatures, but like, it definitely went in a direction that I was not expecting.
It was a direction. People went underwater, came back out. The party NPC was in peril.
Yes,
but
yes.
I felt that built tension. Like normally as a DM, like I always feel like I struggle to challenge my players. You might feel differently from the games that you've been in with me, but it's something, you know. And sometimes simple hazards like water, like fighting an enemy underwater when like no one is aquatic, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Tabaxi don't like water. People
Right.
like to breathe.
You know, and it was a great opportunity, I think, for our druid to show off her new Fey Twisted abilities, you know.
Yes, the Fey Twisted Wild Shape I found very interesting. For those of you that haven't tried the kind of transformations that come with the Grim Hollows, there are like free access PDFs you can find out there. But if you're able to like you know, spring for that stuff and support the creators, please, by all means do so. But those transformations, like they lay on top of your class. And the idea that as a DM, like you can kind of have it warp their abilities is just amazing to me.
Definitely agree with that. And I like the idea of having, you know, especially our Tabaxi character, who is so in tune with nature, you know, kind of dive into the older magics, you know, the older mythical creatures, different lores, the mythologies. And, I thought that was kind of fun. I think there's still room for it to grow. I would love to see it influence on other people's abilities with our upcoming transformations.
Well, it is very interesting because like with Esra, we have that whole elemental stuff kind of warping her magic, and that's always interesting.
Yeah. You know, once we have Omen come back, we'll have to see what his fiend transformation.
The bad Omen, that was an arc.
Right.
It really was.
So,
hard.
Dusk, please introduce yourself to our audience. Can you tell us, like, what you've been like getting into streaming and stuff? What exactly does that entail? Like, since you've been away from the campaign.
I've been doing a lot of work. I have been having a little bit of free time, so I started doing live streaming. I started doing some Pokemon games, and I'm actually working on a web series right now.
Oh. Projects in the work. You do some stuff with that Nerd Militia project, so it's going to be interesting to see where that goes in the future.
Yeah, I actually got like a bunch of projects I'm going to be doing very soon. One of them I already started doing. I try to do the audio, you know, recording kind of thing, but I've been having some problems and stuff that I've been trying to figure out how it fits.
Okay, so you know it's a learning process, kind of getting a hold of that. In the future, are you planning to do any like D&D live streams? I do remember that you did talk about having a Power Ranger campaign in the works.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to do. I first have to get the butts for it, and I am going to be trying to start a recruiting for a D&D group for that.
Well, we got plenty of people on the Nerd Militia server.
You know what, man? I am wondering. I expect this game to kind of close out by the end of the year. Do you think we'll see a return of your character?
It really does depend. I just got a new job, so I got to figure out what my schedule is going to be like. I'm trying to keep the weekends open so that way, if I can, Saturdays I'm open for it, but Sundays I can't.
Yeah, right. I feel that.
Like it's like a whole entire sleep thing.
Yeah, jobs are the ultimate killer of D&D campaigns worldwide. 9 out of 10 D&D campaigns lose a player due to a work conflict with adult lives and scheduling. That's absolutely a true fact. No need to look it up, guys.
Right.
Please.
Please don't fact check us.
Yeah. Don't fact check us on that one. But, that's why I have a personal belief that when you're going to do campaign stuff, it's very important to try to set aside a day. Like if the whole group decides on what day is D&D day, when you talk to your employer, you gotta lay it down. Like, yo, this day is non-negotiable. Now, I think some jobs you can't do that. Like if you're a teacher, it's like, oh, I can't just have Wednesdays off all the time. But like, lots of you gotta kind of work with it. Like if the group can just decide on like moving forward, one day, non-negotiable. This is my day of rest.
Yeah, some people.
That's the thing. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Let me finish. So with D&D players, I think there's that distinction between the casual players who play sometimes, and then there's the dedicated players who are there every session. They set aside that day and they're gonna be there and make sure that they're there. And I feel like people kind of hover in between. You're not really sure like what they want out of their D&D session. So if you're going to be a player, I think you have to know that in the beginning. How dedicated are you planning to be?
There. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that, because like it is a time commitment, and I like
big commitment for sure.
Who knows commitment issues better than me? Like.
Yeah.
The biggest, I've made 2 major commitments in my life. 3 now that we have a podcast. The first, I'm married. The second is, I keep another ring on my other finger. There's no particular reason why, but like, it kind of balances out.
Married to yourself.
That's 2 commitments. Yeah.
Married to yourself.
Yeah. This one's for marriage to the wife. This one's married to my own narcissism.
Yeah, there you go. Look, there's always a good ratio of narcissism. You gotta love yourself in some aspects, As
well,
much as you can.
To quote the love guru, if you can't love yourself, how the fuck can you love another?
I mean, I don't agree with that personally, but I don't know.
I mean,
you definitely gotta have some.
That's some deep shit, though.
I don't know how deep a comedy featuring Mike Myers can get,
but those quotes were freaking deep.
You know what? I take that back. Shrek.
Yeah, Shrek.
Right, now we're talking. Let's go.
Shrek knew how to fucking cook, man.
Shrek had that wisdom because he had that life experience. He was in
the
weeds. You know what I mean? He was down in the swamp.
Yeah. Shrek was a real dude. Like, actually, like that whole thing was very D&D-esque. Let's not pretend that it isn't.
Shrek was
the donkey is the bard, and Eddie Murphy can play a bard. Like, dude, if I could sit at a table with Eddie Murphy as the bard, and he's out there seducing dragons, like, damn, I'm down.
I just rewatched that movie too. Just recently.
Was it an annual rewatch? I mean, it must. You gotta watch it every year, 6 months.
No, it was just fresh. I wanted to have something to watch, and it wasn't that much that I liked at the time. And I just recently finished Breaking Bad during that time. and I started watching Better Call Saul and everything. So
yeah. Better Call Saul's pretty decent.
It's really good. Yeah, I'm almost done with it too. I think I'm on like either last season or the season before last.
I started getting into that most recent season, and partway through it, it's like, it's been so long since I've actually watched it. I'm just like, why the fuck do you care so much about getting revenge on this dude? Like, can't you just let shit go and be a fucking lawyer?
Never.
No.
Never.
Never. How could we as storytellers push things forward if we just let things go? I mean,
right. There's always got to be
very applicable to our campaigns, you know?
Look, man, if the players were just like, you know what? I don't really care that that guy like murdered that whole town. Whatever, I'll just go home. There would be no game.
I'll just go.
Yeah.
That's somebody else's problem, you know? Like,
how many campaigns would end so abruptly if the players were like, you know what? Forgiveness is divine. I don't care. You know what? I'm totally over it. I don't care that they killed a bunch of orphans. You know, like, man, what is that got to do with me?
Yeah, like, why do I gotta save these people? Who's gonna save me?
You know what? Teach a man, like, give a man a fish. He eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, eats for a lifetime. These orphans have to learn to rescue themselves. Otherwise, they'll be dependent on people rescuing them for a lifetime. That's how princesses operate on a daily basis. Peach, once she learned to rescue herself, boom, don't even need Mario.
Right.
We end the franchise.
We, the Nerd Militia, do not subscribe to the Disney aspects of, oh, a damsel in distress. Nah, she can protect herself.
Mulan was a great example. Like, you know, honestly, like, that's a play to go by. Like, if you want to take a little bit of inspiration for a backstory, Mulan had it going on. Like, we got a patriarchal military structure, so I pretended to be a man to save my father. Okay, feel free to rip that off. Like, some classics are classic for a reason. Like, don't let people judge you for ripping off a good classic. You know, tropes exist.
Doing that, yeah. A lot of people are very reluctant. They're like, I don't have an idea for a character. I don't want to just like steal something. I'm like, fuck it, who cares? Like, just don't be like, oh, my character's name was Mulan. Like,
oh yeah. Like, dude, we've said it before, say it again. If you're gonna rip off a character bluntly,
spice it up.
Just you know, give it a little pizzazz, like
that
recolor,
like where it's like, here, yeah, you can copy it, but like,
hey dude, can I copy your homework?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey Chat GPT, can you write my essay for me? Sure, but change it up a little. Dude, it would suck to be an English teacher in this time.
God, it must be awful. Every essay is written by Chat GPT.
Well, depending on how good ChatGPT gets it, some of this might be compelling.
Yeah, sometimes.
I actually think people have done it too. At some point,
wouldn't be able to tell. Especially with kids.
Think about it. Like, do you want to read like some bullshit written by a 9-year-old, or do you want like some compelling story?
To be honest, you're gonna get the more compelling story from the ChatGPT.
Like the time we had it write a script of like a Seinfeld script where Kramer had sold his soul to an eldritch being. And they were going around the city trying to find the MacGuffin to spread his Eldritch Lord's power to the world. And I'm like, that's a campaign and a half, but it's Seinfeld themed. It's like, come on, that's great.
You ever have a skit show or like an animation made? Please. Just like...
that script's still floating around somewhere in our chat. Like, Forrest came up with a prompt, and it was hilarious. Like, I mean, for all the shit that people give to AI, there is some funny stuff that comes with it. If you know, we're entering an age where you gotta know the question to ask.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the thing too. Even the art, on the AI bot that we have on the channel. It's got some good art.
Yeah.
It definitely helped you out.
Yeah, I've been using a few of them, actually.
Yeah, I know that you're flat broke and you can't afford to go out and have somebody make your avatar for you, and you're not exactly the, like when it comes to drawing, a bit of a sausage fingers, and that's perfect fine. Like,
unless if I'm using Photoshop.
Unless you're photoshopping, like, photoshopping is your forte, I'll give you that. Like, you do manage to put some good stuff together.
I'm actually going to be using a lot more of the AI bot and then adding some Photoshop to it. Well, I'm going to need to get some more art stuff made.
Yeah, that is good, but we do have some fantastic artists in the server, so feel free to ask them if you need some real custom stuff. Like the AI is fun, but
yeah,
it's not 100%. However, I did do some RuneScape fan-made kind of themes, and I gave it little basics, and it was honestly really close, like accurate to Prif. That's the Elven City and stuff, and it was really close to it, which was pretty cool.
RuneScape has a lot of like really level grindy stuff when it comes to like mundane skills. Like when you play D&D, do you like mundane skills like that?
I mean, I've played RuneScape since 2017.
Yeah, so like having a cooking skill, like maybe like being an expert wood carver.
There's a lot of them.
So, Ryan,
there's actually a new skill that was released, which was cool.
Sorry, go ahead. Let me finish.
Oh yeah.
He had a thought.
Yeah, there was there's a new skill that was released in RuneScape 3. It's called Necromancy, and it's freaking fun. You're pretty much like the opening to it, and I was just thinking about D&D stuff too when I got sucked into the quest.
Wait, how old is RuneScape, and they're just now getting Necromancy?
It's been out since 1999.
I don't know how anybody can.
And 24 years.
And Necromancy is a skill that was released recently.
You know what? It makes sense. It won't die, so to celebrate it not dying, they raise the dead.
Oh my god, they're a genius.
In a way.
I'm lying. Everything we've said before
is
wrong.
Well, it gets better, Sam. So this necromancer, right? He just automatically drags you in and be like, yeah, you're going to be my protege. And he's like, and your character's like, wait, what?
My protege.
And then Death is right next to you, with this whole thing, and he's just talking mad shit to this guy. And that's just the beginning of the quest too.
Is RuneScape the
just
one
like
where the guy was like Leroy Jenkins? Or was that
No, Leroy Jenkins is a World of Warcraft thing.
I couldn't remember.
So, here's something, Davin. At Dusk. You're closer to my drink than I am. And and Sam, we have a very special topic for today's episode.
We do, yeah. We kind of changing up the schism of the Dungeons and Talkshows norm. We're fucking the shit up. We're changing it up into larger than just a monster for this week.
Ooh. So, going beyond, is this our plus ultra?
This would be our plus ultra, I suppose, yeah. In a way.
Nice.
I can go ahead and get started if you like.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so today, guys, we're going to talk about the Great Wheel Cosmology. Talking about the universe of D&D. The everything that is everything of the Forgotten Realms. Alright?
Ooh, it goes beyond that, dude. Like, this is in basically, like, I don't care if you're in Greyhawk, Eberron, like, it's everywhere, dude.
This is I'm going to get into the explanation in a minute, but just kind of simplify it real quick. Think of this like our universe, right? It's and then the outskirts of our universe, the energies that exist within our universe, and the different dimensions, planes, realms, stuff like that. So, starting it off, this is a bit of a lot, so bear with me, guys. We're going to start with the creation story. This is kind of like, if you're religious, God made the earth in, 7 days or something? This is kind of that.
Yeah, I think we lightly touched on this in a previous episode, but it's always good to dive a little deeper into these things.
And much later, I'll talk about the specific realms, but I do talk about mechanists a little bit. We did a whole episode on that, so that's kind of a callback to that. So, according to a scholar named Christos, the multiverse was originally nothing but swirling chaos. Gods slowly formed in the primal confusion, and among them formed the greatest of lost champions, the twin serpents, Jazaran and Ahriman. In the beginning, they were intimately intertwined with one another, Jazaran's tail in Azeron's mouth, and vice versa. Together they established the fundamental principles.
This sounds spicy already. Putting that tail in that mouth. Intimately intertwined.
Think of this like a cosmic serpent Ouroboros,
This is cosmic sex with space snakes.
I mean, it essentially is, I guess. They birthed the universe this way, And so together, when they do this kind of movement, I suppose, they create the unity of rings, or the rule of threes.
All right.
They're also called the center of all, creating the ring shape of the cosmos, right? So they are the boundaries of the cosmos. The triads that dominated in the plane of neutrality, called the concordant opposition, or the outlines. So Ahriman and Jazaran, who originally worked together in all things, warred over which plane would be the center of everything. Ahriman chose Beitor, and Jazaran chose heaven. They struggled so greatly with their tails still in each other's mouth, they forcibly tore apart. The blood from Jazaran's damaged tail formed the 4 Kutals, while the blood of Ahriman, whose terrible fall created a vast pit called the Serpent's Trench, formed the first pit fiends. Ahriman, wounded and imprisoned by the laws he himself created, went by the guise of the archfiend Asmodeus, while Jazaran remained quietly in the background, using her Kutals to gather intelligence in Ahriman's goals. So, that is basically the story of creation. They believe that Asmodeus, the Lord of the 9 Hells, is Ahriman, or a piece of him, at least.
But
he is,
The more you describe it, the more spicy it sounds.
It's so interesting.
It's like those it's like those romance novels that people donate to prisons when you got nothing better to read.
It's really funny. My mom wrote a book, pretty much exactly like what you're describing.
Those are the kind of books that you pick up at the Dollar Tree, and it's just like, dude, as a writer, I would be devastated if I walked into the dollar store and saw some of my work just sitting there on a dollar store shelf.
Like, damn, bro. But yeah, for all of the, I hope this isn't offensive, but the astrology hoes and the uranium bros out there who loves astrology, cosmology, and all that kind of shit, you're gonna pog out on this episode.
Oh, dude. We had tried to get our resident uranium bro, my father, on the podcast tonight, but, things happen. Can't always have what you want. But one of these days, we gotta have him on. He put uranium in dice. Like, who the fuck does that?
It's so cool.
Chris does that.
He made radioactive dice. I keep some at the house. It's just like, well, thankfully I have proper storage equipment already because of the job that I worked last summer. But like, if not for that, it might be a hazard. It still is, but like, at least proper storage procedures are in place.
So check this out. The Great Wheel Cosmology was the prevalent cosmological model in which the world of Toro was said to exist during the mid-14th century DR in the post-Second Sundering era. The Great Wheel was... Yeah, I believe, if I remember correctly, that was a like world state after like a god war or something. The Great Wheel was described as a complex, comparatively cosmopolitan place in which the gods of many worlds and pantheons mingled. The beliefs of many faiths and peoples bleeding together in a set of outer planes, shaped predominantly by the polar forces of law, chaos, good, and evil. Thus it was that Lyra, the Greek goddess Hecate, could feud over the love of the Sumerian god Enki and work at a pleasure palace operated by the Aztec gods. it's so crazy.
This is like Record of Ragnarok here. Like, we got every culture bringing their gods in. And by the way, Hecate is like one of my favorite Greek goddesses. Super underrated, but like, you know, when you like most pantheons have at least some magic bitch god, and I love it.
You know, and that's why like I always kind of gravitate towards like Anubis. You know, people are like, "Oh, Anubis is a D&D god," and I'm like, "Oh yeah," you know, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and, like I love the story of Anubis because like he exists outside of the realms of the gods, because like in D&D lore, he although a normal death god, he came to a realization one day that, hey, wait a minute, there's other realms out there. Goes into the astral sea, renounces his role as the death god of his pantheon in order to watch over the corpses of dead gods in the astral sea and protect them from desecration.
Like he still kind of fulfills that like judge judicator role in a way, but like I love that that's the position he decided to take, you know.
Yeah, like he went from a death god to a death god.
And then he kind of realized that like I don't just have to judge mortals. I can judge gods and primordials and everything too. He's like, my power is not limited by the, you know, lifespan.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And you know, it's also super interesting is a number of alliances existed between the gods of Toro and those of other worlds. Like for example, you got Mistra. You can have, you know, Orth or whatever. You know, all kinds of stuff.
Mistra, once again, bringing in my favorite magic bitch.
Yeah. You know, the actual term Great Wheel did not mean the cosmology as a whole until the development of the World Tree Cosmology in 1372 DR by the time of Troubles. The terms Great Wheel or Great Ring meant the outer planes only. During this time, the cosmology as a whole did not require a name other than the planes or the multiverse, as there was no formally named alternatives yet. Right? So they just kind of thought it was just the outer planes.
And then turns out there's a lot more to the universe.
There's a lot more.
There's a lot.
Yeah, because they thought it was just like, you know, there's us and then there's the gods.
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, really, how much do we know about our own universe? Like, how do we know that we don't exist on material plane? Then there's like Feywild, Shadowfell, and all of these other things all around us. I mean,
I'm so excited for this episode because this is also D&D stuff, but also like real life psychology of like what's our universe like? What kind of reality do we exist within?
Hear me out, Sam. Now, this is a D&D theory brought to you by our sponsor, Elon Musk.
Oh boy, if only.
Yeah. What if D&D exists in a simulation? What if your players are in a simulated universe?
When you play D&D, you're subconsciously creating a demi-plane where these players actually exist. Because later I'm going to get into what a demi-plane is. And you know what? That's a plausible idea.
Shit. Is that a demi-plane? Like, like they say that if you get enough, if a big enough group of people get together and they're all focused on a single task, like it kind of like has an influence on reality. Like, are we actually creating micro realities with the games that we create?
I know what, because I kind of feel the same way for the sake of like a story. You know, when an author writes a book, what is he doing but creating a universe, creating a reality? Yeah.
We are super invested in said realities. I mean, who's to say like Dragon Ball isn't like its own reality in itself? Like, you know, how far removed is fiction?
You know, here's the thing with like the human mind kind of experiment with thinking like this. People believe that, you know, once you think of something, once you kind of manifest it into being, it exists. You know, there's a reality for it. You know, that timeline.
That's fundamentally how D&D operates in its universe.
Yeah. That's how all these separate games can coexist within the same boundaries of the same universe.
It goes beyond that, because like in D&D, like if you want to actually kill a god, you make people forget about that god. You make them doubt that god. You make them be like, insert god name where?
You don't just kill the god, you have to kill the faith, kill the memory, you know?
Yeah, like, yeah, to truly kill a god in D&D, you have to kill the memory. Like, I've heard people in many players, like, you go to work and you're chilling and someone finds out you play D&D and they're telling you about that one time their party killed a god. And I'm like, okay, how'd you do it? And some of them will be like, okay, we fought them face to face. Some will be like, we overthrew them. We made everyone believe that our guy was the god. And then it's like, all right. And I kind of like that idea. Like, I've created story arcs where I wanted to have my players go through, like, the big bad evil guy, like, trying to stop him. And his whole deal is overthrowing the gods by making them obsolete. Like, everyone believing that he is a god. And he starts with like little areas and like gathering the power of Kuo-toa tribes and gaining all their focus and belief on him, and eventually establishing that godhood that comes with it, you know?
Say it with me now, for the people who believe in the Woojoo stuff. Manifestation, baby.
Manifest destiny.
I don't know if that's the same thing.
I mean, you know, if you believe it, then like there's got to be, like, many cultures around the world believe that belief itself has power, and I find that that's amazing. And in D&D, like, belief does have power. That's the part of where magic comes from. That's like the Kuo-toa. If they believe in something enough, it becomes an actual being. It becomes a god. You erase the belief in a faith, all of a sudden, that sun god of yours don't exist.
Right. You know what? That kind of instills the idea that, like, people are their own gods. You have influence over your reality and your life and your world, you know? And in the case of D&D, you literally do. Like, or, you know, like...
From what I understand, like, most iterations, it's just like their gods will rise and fall as pantheons rise and fall.
Yeah.
And, like, you kind of see some of that with story settings like Percy Jackson.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's just like, okay, if as long as people still believe in those gods, there's a construct for them to exist in.
Right. That's always a common theme where when you talk about gods in D&D, they need that, you know, they require that faith, that belief to, you know, hold on to their power and to their presence within the world.
Absolutely.
But anyway, yeah, I'll just kind of finish up the description of the cosmology here. By the late years of the 15th century, some sages began to use the Great Wheel cosmology again, while other sages preferred to use the World Tree or the World Axis models. Of the three, the Great Wheel model remained the most commonly used. However, it was modified to include the planes after the Spell Plague. And for those of you who don't know what the spell plague is, real quick.
Ooh, we need an episode on the spell plague, because
You know,
I've
give a
heard
short,
things here
little
or there, but like...
Me too. Okay. So, basically the spell plague, if I remember correctly, talks about the assassination of Mystra. And there was disruption in the magic. And
because
the goddess of magic dies. What do you think happens to magic? You know what I mean?
That would create a power vacuum of sorts. Because like people in the realms still believe in magic, but they need an entity, a construct to hold that. Like
you suddenly have a billion people who believe your god to be dead. You know,
well, when everyone believes that God is dead, what does that leave? It leaves a power vacuum. I mean, you see that with modern day society. Like, for the longest time, people like are just like, oh, hey, Christians in America, top dog religion, and everyone's like, okay, I'm a Christian doing their thing, and then people are like, oh, I hate Christians because they're the X, Y, and Z, and it's like, okay, sure, but like, the biggest issue I've found is like Christianity would commonly throughout the decades be filled with power-hungry people that have nothing better to do with their lives than try to dictate how other people live and try to shame people, tell them what they're doing wrong. And now those very same people in a modern America where Christianity is by and large lost its influence in society. Like, you could say that in a way that God is dead in modern America, in the sense that although there are still Christians, a vast majority of people you interact with aren't religious or religiously affiliated. And they're just like, I don't care. I don't know. Don't give a fuck. And then that kind of leaves the people that were hanging around looking for power to control and fuck people over on a daily basis and shame them for X, Y, and Z with like, okay, what fills that power vacuum? And in modern society, that power vacuum is filled by politics and trash talking people on the internet, you know, like telling somebody like, I am morally righteous compared to you.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. You know, all kind of
like, the power vacuum is filled by whatever power is most useful at the time, and a lot of people find that in jumping on their soapbox on a platform like fucking Twitter, you know? Those people that used to be isolated to just harassing a couple people in their local church, now they have a soapbox to stand on to harass people across the world.
We're not saying all Christians harass people, but we all you can't say that the people don't exist. All right.
To be perfectly blunt, what I'm saying is that there are people out there, you know them, and their entire existence is to just control other people, make other people feel like shit for being who they are, and at the end of the day, all they want is the power to kind of force other people to bend to their will just because. And any societal construct that exists to give them that power, they will take advantage of.
True. It's definitely true. Yep.
Those are the kind of people that have ruined every religion from the dawn of humanity. You know, like the kind of people that kiss up to the king or queen, you know?
Definitely true. All right. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the realms and the basic structure of the cosmology in the universe. So,
how do we unscramble it, Sam?
Oh, man. I'm hoping you could throw up the pictures for me. You know, there's a few of note.
Great Wheel of Cosmology.
Yeah, you should have the images for a lot of these. Let's see here. All right, folks, give me 1 second.
Oh, okay, Dusk. We'll see you in a moment.
Oh, he's dead now.
I think he's going to the bathroom.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I got a picture of Vitopia here. I didn't think we needed one for each one of the rooms.
I got a general cosmology map pulled up right here.
Yeah, you can kind of point to it and stuff when I'm talking about it. Let me know when you're ready.
Let's see here. Open image in a new tab. And let's see. You know, maybe one day, Sam, I'll be able to operate OBS like the pros do. Make things look real nice.
Yeah. I don't do anything.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
I'll just put it over Dusk while he's away. But yeah, we got the Great Wheel of Cosmology.
So, the Great Wheel Cosmology consisted of a series of somewhat concentric spheres. In the center was the prime material plane, containing the phlogiston within the crystal spheres and the worlds within. So the phlogiston is kind of like space, right? Like dark matter in space.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. I see that. It's like it's like that part of the cell, the little stuff in between, that goo that keeps it together.
Mitochondria.
No. Okay. The material plane is the mitochondria of the universe.
Honestly, it kind of is. You could think of it like that. And you have the crystal spheres containing every world within it. That could be Earth. That could be fucking Pluto. Jupiter, whatever. It could be.
Okay.
And then you have everything is surrounded by the ethereal plane, where the ghosties live, basically. Okay. And outside of the prime and ethereal were the inner planes, also called the elemental planes, which had their own structures based on a sphere. So you have a sphere for every elemental plane, basically. Then came the astral plane, which connected the worlds in the prime material to each other, and also to the last sphere, the outer planes. The prime material plane touched both the astral and the ethereal plane, though these planes did not touch one another. They kind of overlap, but they don't touch.
Okay. So is this like a flat universe?
No, it's a wheel.
That's a wheel.
Yeah.
So we got, I subscribe to some wheel Earth theory.
Look, man, this is Pizza Earth.
Pizza Earth theorists unite.
Yeah, man. So, the outer planes, also called the planes of power, were the 16 planes arranged in a circle, the Great Wheel, defined mainly by alignment and surrounding a 17th neutral plane known as the outlands. Alright, so starting it off with the inner planes, you have the 6 major elemental planes: fire, earth, water, air, and positive and negative energy. Then you have the 4 para-elemental planes: smoke, ice, ooze, and magma. And then you have the 8 quasi-elemental planes: lightning, steam, radiance, minerals, vacuum, salt, ash, and dust.
I mean, that sounds like the Naruto Jutsu power system right there.
It all kind of...
You want to get advanced with like a, dust release. Okay, now we're getting into some Kekkei Genkai bullshit.
Yeah, man. So you can think of the 8 quasi-elemental planes as the sitting on the surface of a sphere with a positive at the North Pole, negative at the South Pole. Fire, earth, and water and air are all on the equator, equidistant from each other.
Okay. So like these planes are supposedly infinite, but there are points where they touch.
Yes, where they overlap and where they kind of meld together. And this is what I'm going to get into here in a minute. You have the para-elemental planes were found on the equator between the boundaries of fire, earth, water, and air. 4 of the 8 elemental planes, or quasi-elemental planes, were found between the boundaries of positive energy and the 4 elements. So,
that reminds me of something. I remember hearing a quote from like a clip from Joe Rogan where Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about how not all infinities are equal. Like some infinities are larger than others, and that seems to apply here with the quasi-elemental planes, where like each of these planes are infinite, but these planes in between planes where planes overlap are like the decimal points in between numbers. Like each of the main elemental planes is a number. And then like in between them is an infinity of decimal points that touch. Like it's in between two, but it's also infinite.
Exactly right. So within the plane, you know, it's an infinite distance. You can go on forever, essentially, you know. But there is a bound. There's a finite. It's weird, right? Like it's super strange.
So, the way I picture it is like a, you know, like a it's like a, say you got an infinity, which is the spectrum of planes all across, right? Like a like a horizontal straight across, right? And that's where all they touch. And then like the kind of like the decimal point, like say you got two numbers like that, right? The infinity is like going down negative numbers, going up positive decimals in between, and those can stretch on infinitely. But at the same time, there is a point where these infinities touch,
where they cross
because
over.
They're defined numbers.
Right. So we're talking about the blending here. Steam, for example, was between positive energy and water. And the other four quasi-elemental planes were between negative energy and the four elements. Vacuum, for example, was between negative energy and air. The inner planes were surrounded by the ethereal planes, which connected them to the prime material planes. Now, I mentioned demi-planes a little bit earlier. Here's where I get into it. So demi-planes are your pocket dimensions, right? They were planes of finite extent. They were planes of finite extent found within the ethereal plane. They may have been the creations of powerful wizards, technology, or demigods, such as the inside of a bag of holding, you know, creates its own demiplane. You know, they may have been...
there's spells that do stuff like that.
And exactly.
Like, I think the fun thing that I like to relate that to is if we have any Fate fans in the audience there, reality marbles, which are effectively a demi-plane. Like there are characters that can like create these reality marbles, and I love the term reality marble.
And like, for the anime nerds out there, if you like Jujutsu Kaisen, domains are demi-planes. Yeah, exactly like that.
Domain expansion is reality marble, which is demi-plane.
Exactly, right. Pretty easy way to explain it. And they do also believe that they may have been created when a large glob of proto-matter began to pull away from the ethereal plane. That's the energy inside the ethereal. Demi-planes might eventually collapse in on themselves, re-emerge with the parent ethereal, or merge with an inner plane or prime material plane. Each demi-plane had its own rules regarding gravity, vision, magic, and material makeup.
It's always interesting seeing things in media where like a character is able to breach the barrier between planes and reality, especially from like within a demi-plane. Like if you're like in Dragon Ball Z, where Super Buu just shouts a hole in the hyperbolic time chamber to escape that demi-plane into the material plane.
Yeah, exactly like that. You know what's another good example of this? Like Genjutsu kind of is like a mental demi-plane.
Yeah, you know what? I'll totally give that to you. A mental scape is a... Would you go so far as to say that a dream is a demi-plane?
Almost, yeah. It would be, you know, like you... I mean, I believe, if I remember correctly, dreams exist within the astral.
Okay, so if dreams exist within the astral in this setting, then it would make sense that, like, each person, it creates, like, a, you know, kind of an influence on the astral there, and over time, like, if someone's strong enough, those dreams can create effects within the astral, or in the case of beholders, as we talked about not too long ago, their dreams are so strong that they go into the astral, and the dream takes on form, and then it's able to push back into the material plane.
Exactly. Yes. And it's so cool. You know, when you die, you are sent to the ethereal. You know, and then, you know, if you become a spirit of some kind, You know, that's where the spirits reside.
Well, yeah, like death in D&D. Like we talked about how kill your fucking players once in a while. It's really not that bad. Because depending on their alignment in the deeds that they do, as the DM, you can decide which of these planes that they're going to go to. Typically one of the aligned planes. In my character's case, in our current campaign, if Ezra dies, because of the elemental bullshit, she will get dragged directly into one of the elemental planes to become an NPC, and it's just like, oh, well, my character's gone, and she is bound to an elemental plane. Like, holy shit. I got disadvantage on my death saves because of that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
You know, I've come close to death so many times.
I do plan to do future episodes on the more elemental planes. You know, I didn't want to go too heavy into them this time. So if anyone listening, if you have any specific interests in one of them, let us know, and I'll do them first.
Ooh, I would love to see what our listeners think of what should we tackle first of all these planes, because there's so many. It's fascinating. Like, I am hyped. Personally, I'm going to
go into the outer planes in a second. I'm not going to go too deep because I want to leave some room for future episodes in case somebody wants to hear more.
Oh, absolutely! Like, I think they all deserve a valid deep dive.
Okay.
Like I've never even heard of a party going to the positive or negative plane. You know,
what that'd be like, man? That'd be crazy. A plane of pure negative energy. Holy shit!
Ooh, you gotta fight shadow versions of yourself, like all your players' worst qualities, all their rage,
I love it.
All their worst things, tuned up to 100, almost twice as strong.
That sounds
like it would really put into like as soon as you exist there, you know, those feelings are gonna manifest, and so it makes sense that they would take on form within that realm. Like,
what do you think, Dusk?
Man. Honestly, that sounds like something that would be really cool. Like,
awesome.
Especially if Bad Omen returns, hopefully sometime soon. I would love to see something like that, like another Bad Omen. Like,
Bad Omen brings Bad Omen. Dude, exactly. Your character in our campaign is a fucking fever dream. Oh, I've been raised by space hippos, and I'm from Space Mexico.
Space Mexico, and don't forget about Space Canada.
Oh my God.
He's been around to Space Mexico, Space Canada, raised by space hippos. He's got guns.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start this off because it is a bit. So way back in episode 7, right, we talked about Mechanus and Primus. If you remember, I mentioned how Nirvana is the plane of the lawful neutral, where it consisted of only one layer where everything was in perfect order, equal parts light and dark, heat and cold, in equal measures for the 4 elements. So everything is in order with each other. Everything is neutral. Everything's good.
It's what every Buddhist strives for, right? Nirvana.
Exactly. You know, and then next up we have Arcadia. Arcadia was sat between lawful neutral and lawful good. If you look at the cosmology here. Known for its trees, the trees of Arcadia grew in neat forests and regimented orchards.
For its orchards.
I've never said that word out loud.
I'm just picturing, like, okay, but come visit this scenic afterlife. We have orchards.
I mean, yeah, I didn't want to go into too much detail, but it's supposed to be beautiful. Basically, like, when I looked at the picture of it, it kind of looked like... I'm trying to think of a good example here. Like
if we can do like a vacation brochure, or like not like a commercial almost for each of the planes, like come visit scenic Niflheim. You know,
it looks exactly like the golden grass and trees of like the Elden Ring area.
Yeah.
If you remember what I'm talking about, it looks exactly like that.
Oh, that shit's wild, dude.
Yeah. So next up, we had talked about this a little bit last episode with the Hollyphant, I believe. The Mount Celestia, or the 7 Heavens.
Dude. Mount Celestia is like so vast. It's got the whole hierarchy.
Cool. Oh, man. So the 7 Heavens, also called the 7 Mountains of Goodness and Law, was the plane of lawful good, home of the Archons. If you remember from last episode, Hierophants, it's 7 layers. Lunia, Mercuria, Vena, Solania, Mertin, Jovar, and Cronius were joined in such a manner that traveling deeper into the plane became an ascending journey, up mountain after mountain.
Yeah, it's kind of like how it's inverse to what is it, the abyss or the 9
yeah, I
hells
believe
or
it
whatever.
directly. Looking at I believe it directly like it's opposing.
Yeah, because like the devils are on a journey to become greater and greater devils, as inversely these celestials are on a journey to become greater and greater celestials. Right. So
this is where you would go to seek that upper level of improvement, to really improve in that state of being. So next up,
it'd be interesting to have a party go on a journey through that, because it's one of those things where you'd never encounter it very much. Or like, what if you ran an evil campaign and you were invading that? Like,
right. If I remember,
like what's that show called?
What?
Yeah.
If I remember
the
correctly,
D&D show, the one that it's on Netflix.
Oh, Vox Machina?
No,
not Vox Machina.
You know which one? The one that I got hyped on. The one's based on the 80s.
Oh, you're talking about Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah, that one. Because like there's that whole entire show is wild.
Yeah.
Like they're going through another dimension.
But that would be the Underdark is basically in D&D the Shadowfell.
Yeah. Exactly. It's freaking
cool. And next up we have the Twin Paradise or Bitopia. Twin Paradise.
Bitopia.
Yeah. Look, man, this is where all the bi people go when they die. Okay, look.
They go to a bisexual paradise.
This. I tried to explain this. This is the bread sandwich plane. You know what I mean? They're set up.
Yeah. Okay.
They're set up like a sandwich.
I think I saw a video on that once, or it's like, it's set up like it kind of like curves in on itself. And there's like spires where you can climb from one to the other, but then like halfway through the gravity switches. Like, could you imagine climbing that and it's just like, okay, here we go, real close, just struggling, and then like all of a sudden, disoriented, flip turn upside down.
So the Twin Paradise is sat between lawful good and lawful good and neutral good in alignment. The 2 layers, Sharak and Dothon, whatever, were described as hanging upside down from each other about 20 miles, 32 kilometers apart from sea level to sea level, sharing the same sky.
Dude.
That's only 20 miles.
Imagine looking up every night and then you're just like, oh, hey, there's that town. There's that town. Okay, cool. My cousin lives over there. And like, instead of constellations, you have towns.
So, Sam, I do got a question for you, though. For those type of worlds and everything, is there like another version of yourself in those worlds, or no?
Well, no, these
are
are
afterlife.
Yeah, I mean, these are the gods live here. They kind of created these realms in a way.
Yeah, these are like planes of alignment, effectively.
Oh, all right.
So it's not like an alternate reality situation, people live here, creatures live here, in some cases, I think.
I believe the one that you're describing, isn't it like gnomes that kind of like primarily get sent there?
I believe
we'll dive into that when we do an episode.
Yeah, we'll do the episode. So next up, we have Elysium. Elysium was the plane of neutral good. The wide, slow-moving, and mostly navigatable ocean is flowed through all 4 layers. From Thalasia to Beleriand to Eronia to Amoria, and then on to the Happy Hunting Grounds. Most habitation was along the fertile banks of the river, diminishing further away. So, next up, the Happy Hunting Grounds, or the Beastlands. So, outsiders called it the Happy Hunting Grounds, but the native wildlife, most of which were sentient and capable of speech, called it the Beastland, didn't take kindly to being hunted. This plane represented the ideals...
the Happy Hunting Grounds, where the animals talk and they don't like being hunted.
Yeah, man, they'll probably fuck you up. This plane represented the ideals of neutral good, tended towards chaotic good. Each of the 3 layers Kriegala, Brooks, and Karasuthra was vast and densely forested, but included habitats of all manner of natural creatures, mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, amphibians, insects, invertebrates, and their giant varieties. So yeah, all kinds of shit to live there, man. That's really crazy.
Damn.
It's just a wild, immense forest. It's pretty crazy. So next up, everyone knows this one. You know, we got Olympus, Arborea, or Arvandor. Yeah, man. It's probably one of the most popular realms. You know, one of the most known.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, right. Though the names vary, this is the plane of chaotic good, home of both the Greek and Elvish pantheons. Two realms coexisted on the topmost. Yeah, and Arvandor was the Elvish, I believe. The two realms coexisted on the topmost layer of the plane at the pinnacle of their respective realms. The main feature was Mount Olympus, a huge mountain that linked the Greek part of the plane with the prime material, where they were the strongest. This astral landmark also extended to at least one layer each of Gehenna, Hades, and Tartarus.
Damn.
Yeah, it's reaching through different realms. That's crazy.
I like that some of them have direct connections and very specific pantheons that they kind of cater to.
Yeah. So getting into the chaotic realms now, you know, we have the first one, Asgard or Gladsheim. Or I guess it's Isgard.
It makes sense.
Isgard. Sometimes called Isgard, Gladsheim was between chaotic good and chaotic neutral. And was the home of the Norse pantheon, of which Tyr was a member, obviously, which, despite a tendency to chaotic behavior, effectively seized control of the supermost of the three layers. Their realm gives the first layer its name Asgard, followed by Muspelheim and Niflheim. Like Mount Olympus on Olympus, the main feature of this place was Yggdrasil, the world ash. A tree has roots and branches in the prime material plane, where the Norse gods are recognized, as well as Niflheim and Hades.
Yeah, like I always found that fascinating, how like the world tree can like penetrate through realities, and you can travel between them just by climbing up and down it. But like what gets me even more is that Tyr is like, it wasn't enough for him to be a god in one reality. No, he had to go and be a god in Toril. It's like, okay, yeah, let me go to do my part-time job as myself.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna be a god of war in multiple realities.
Why not? I'll just take this under my wing anyway. It's already mine. Like,
yeah, he's got this.
Next up, this one's kind of interesting. We have Limbo, the plane of chaotic neutral, home of the Githrizai and the Salad. This plane was supreme chaos, a twisting quicksilver place filled with bits and pieces of rocks, trees, the four elements, entire landscapes, strong winds, random pockets of liquid, solid, or gas. Intelligent beings to subjugate the environment around them, causing the chaos to settle into forms of his desire. Yeah, his or her desire, yeah. They could literally warp the space around them with just their minds. It was believed Limbo had 5 layers.
That sounds sick.
Were all generally the same. Yeah. 5 layers of nothing. Like,
well, that's a cake and a half.
Yep. Getting into the last 6 here, I believe. We have Pandemonium. The plane between chaotic neutral and chaotic evil. So Pandemonium had no native inhabitants, but many were either immigrants, exiles, marooned, or prisoners. The entire plane was made of passages and caverns seemingly carved from solid rock by the constant howling wind and wind-driven rivers. Demons in closets lived or hid there. Shadow demons were plentiful.
What are they trying to say that with Pandemonium being the realm where there's no natural inhabitants, we're only immigrants?
Yeah, I mean, this is where realms would throw their prisoners, throw their decrepits.
Ah, okay. It's the Australia of the realms.
Damn. It's the Guantanamo Bay of the realm.
Yo, we're gonna close Gitmo.
Oh, man. Yeah, and this is probably my favorite. We got the Abyss. The Abyss was the plane of chaotic evil, home of the demons and surprisingly limitless number of other foul monstrosities. The stronger sought to dominate the weaker, and the weaker conspired to overthrow the stronger. It was estimated the abyss had 666 layers, but could as well have been an infinite number. Nobody really knows.
Infinite planes.
It's all in that bullshit, but 666 layers.
Oh, what
on brand.
Oddly specific number there. Couldn't imagine where that came from.
I wonder. And, all right, next up, we have Tartarus, or Carceri. The plane of Tartarus was located midway between chaotic evil and neutral evil. Each layer of Tartarus was described as a chain of glowing scarlet orbs stretching into an infinity. Each orb of the top layer is the size of a prime material world, and the orb gets smaller with each successive layer. The orbs of the inner layers can be imagined as nesting within the orbs of the outers, like Matryoshka dolls. You know, those dolls that like go inside of each other.
Oh, yeah, the nesting dolls, the Russian ones.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty interesting.
That shit's wild. So, like, eventually, if you go deep enough, you reach the Yoki Center.
The Yoki Center, yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Hades.
The yoke of Tartarus.
The yoke of Tartarus.
Yeah,
Next up, we have Hades, also known as the Grey Waste, was the plane of neutral evil, home of the demons. Sorry, the daemons.
The daemon.
The three layers of Hades were Oinos, Niflheim, and Pluton. Pluton is sometimes mistakenly referred to as Hades. The layers of Hades were called glooms for a good reason. They were the realms devoid of emotion, hope, and peace. Gray land and gray sky throughout, with no sun, moon, or seasons to break the monotony.
Damn. That kind of sounds like Waco Mundo from Bleach.
I don't know the reference.
You've never seen Bleach, dude?
I don't think I've seen it like throughout. I've seen like I think a few seasons or so.
So yeah, like Waco Mundo is like the world of the Hollows. And it's just a massive desert wasteland, and it's just nighttime all the time, monotonous. Just like if you do find a tree, it's dead, it's desecrated. It's just a gray desert, I guess. Yeah, like Waco Mundo.
Yeah. So next up, we have Gehenna. This plane was midway between neutral evil and lawful evil. Each of the four layers was Callus, Kamata, Mungoth, and Krangath, were composed of mountains and smoky, burning volcanoes with no bases or peaks. Everything was built onto or carved into the sides of these mountains, and gravity was at a 45-degree angle with the ground. I don't know the repercussions of that or like what that means, but like
I've considered messing with the gravity in settings for campaigns that I run, but 45-degree angle gravity is not something that comes to mind, and I love it.
Is that everything is slanted? That's so weird. So next up, we have the Nine Hells, or Baator. The Nine Hells were the plane of the lawful evil, home of the devils. The 9 layers were Aveners, Dis, Minotauros, Flagelos, Stygia, Malbolgia, Maladomini, Kainia, and Nessus. Sorry for butchering these.
We're testing your vocabulary today, Sam. This is like a linguistic smorgasbord.
This is also crazy because the 9 layers were also infinite in all directions.
Some infinities are larger than others.
They also had their own physical laws and properties of matter. Like what? The boundaries between the layers connected at the lowest points of the upper layers with points very high above the surface of the next lower layer. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Dude, this is mind-breaking just to consider.
Yeah. But regardless, if there was a structure, there's a mountain or a tall tower. Think of it like that. It's a mountain or a tall tower somehow. Oh man, I love it.
Big stuff.
I love it. I think it kind of really sells the whole. It's also it's held in a law, but it's also chaotic in nature. You know, like
yeah. One thing before you go down. So Dusk, you've been quiet for a minute. You seem like you're ready to head out here. I did want to ask you one more thing on your upcoming campaign that you wanted to run. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were calling the campaign Power Rangers Las Vegas?
Yes, that's correct.
What does that entail? That sounds amazing.
Oh, exactly what you would think. Hell breaking loose. The morph grids all pretty much shattered. So crazy shit's happening. At least that's like what I've been coming up with and stuff.
He actually had me help him with writing a theme song for it.
Yeah, and I was actually working on that too.
Yeah, we're gonna have our one of our musicians on the server write the song, like kind of get really into like the power metal vibe that like old Power Rangers had. You know what I mean? Like just go full in heavy riffs.
That'd be cool.
But I'm just loving the concept. It's like you got Power Rangers, morph grid shattered. So in Las Vegas, the city of sin. So like
pretty much that's the best setting right there, because like in this kind of world, you know, all this bullshit's happening. And
so
nobody and like, and I wanted to keep it open too for players, you know, because like it's always been, oh, you know, you guys have been, you know, chosen to save the world, but you know, it's I want to keep that open for everybody to actually make their choices, because you know,
so
it would be more
in this campaign. Could I be like a prostitute ranger?
If you want to, yes.
Not a color.
Well, that exactly with this setting.
Well, this is Power Rangers Las Vegas. Like
it's canon.
Yeah, it's a canon event, Sam. Maybe one of the Rangers is
canon event. Yeah. Oh no. Like
yeah, you know, but maybe one of the Rangers is like a blackjack dealer. Another one's like a, you know, a meth-addled homeless person, and another one's a prostitute.
The correct
Las Vegas.
It actually would make sense too with this kind of setting.
I mean, if you're asking your players to make Las Vegas centered people, like
exactly, and give them the freedom to actually bring out their characters, either good or bad, or even just straight out neutral, where you know you don't give a fuck at all.
Yeah, you're just a person that lives in Las Vegas.
Exactly.
From what I understand, most people that live in Las Vegas, like they might work on the Strip, but they don't really interact with that kind of life. They're just kind of like minding their own business, like a suburban housewife or some shit.
And then there's others that are on the evil side as well too.
Yeah.
Because you know they want to just take it over.
So like morph grid shattered. So like the people that get these Power Ranger their morphers and stuff, like maybe they fall into
bad hands,
strange hands.
I mean,
I wouldn't say
I was gonna say bad hands, but yeah,
but like you know, questionable hands.
Indeed.
So is that like the general vibe you're going for, like a campaign with questionable and unlikely heroes in the desert?
Yes, with a lot more twists and turns in there. I was even watching a lot of the old Power Rangers TV shows to get a good idea of like how the morph grid works.
Okay, so you're doing your research first.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
It's funny because apparently how the original morph grid worked was it only would work, and this is from the new TV show, well, the new movie or whatever came out, the anniversary Power Rangers movie. Apparently, it would not work with Trinity's granddaughter because she wasn't worthy or something like that.
Okay, so there's like a worthiness, there's like a choosing, but you're kind of subverting that
because it's
like morph grid
shattered.
Yeah,
exactly.
Morph grid shattered.
Yeah, so because I actually came up with that kind of idea of this whole world that is just going down to hell. And all this like power is actually being broadcasted to everybody pretty much at that point.
Okay, so you could have like your typical monster of the week stuff with, as well as enemies that also have ranger powers then.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, there's some of the old villains that did try to take the morphers and everything and try to absorb the powers. Yeah, which was weird.
It's always a fun trope to kind of sample into. Like, I've seen iterations where, like, the sixth ranger or someone that joins the party later on,
like Tunnel Thunder, for example,
starts out as a villain. They did that in the original with Tommy, like, oh, he's a villain, and then he joins them. They did it with Ninja Storm, where those two Beetle Rangers kind of join in.
I have to say, though,
they harassed them like half a fucking season, you know?
But they were cool. They were cool freaking Power Rangers.
Well, I'm looking forward to following that campaign when you're streaming it and everything, because it sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm actually looking into buying the boats and stuff on Roll20 and check it out.
I'm feeling the desire to be a player right now. Like, so.
Honestly, and I think the cool thing is that you could just use the city map. Honestly, like, you save yourself so much trouble. Be like, okay, yeah, something's going down at Caesar's Palace. It's under attack. There's a loan shark monster.
He's coming to take your debts.
Yeah, you can purposely design things to be hilariously terrible, and it's perfectly okay.
And it's actually canon at that point, because, like, I was watching a lot of the older stuff, and it was so badly scripted, but it worked, and it was funny.
Yeah, so it's on brand if you come up with a hilariously bad idea.
Exactly. Like, I just finished watching SPD just recently, and that show was just a train wreck. I mean, it was cool. It was awesome. But there were moments that would just make you laugh at the villains because they were just so stupid.
Power Rangers villains do be stupid sometimes.
And then I thought about it, like, man, I can make mine even more ridiculous than this.
All right. Well, Dusk, where can people find you? Plug your stuff before we kind of get back to our stuff, because I know you've had a late night.
Yeah.
And look, heading out
you can follow me on my Twitch. Twitch, Twitter, and I just came up with I just made a new YouTube account so I could start putting videos on there. And I'm going to be leaving into the Discord server and stuff for you guys to put into your thing.
Yeah, we'll leave a description, but like so you, what's your Twitch so people can follow you?
Oh, give me 1 second.
You gotta be ready to plug that stuff, guys.
Oh, it's been a while since I've actually been on Twitch.
You gotta know your stuff.
Well, you're a part of the nerd.
I know my Kick more than Twitch because it's separate. It's Dusk2Twilight.
Dusk2Twilight.
Oh, I like it.
Okay. Not a little pivot there.
Thank you for coming tonight, though. It's happy to have you. It's been a while since we've gotten to hang out.
Oh, absolutely. We look forward to hopefully seeing you rejoin our campaign again soon, and even more so, I'm excited to see what happens with your whole Power Rangers Las Vegas campaign. I love the idea of a desert theme and a bunch of degenerates becoming Power Rangers.
And then plus having a bunch of
I love
desert
about, like,
Zords and stuff.
Yeah, like animals like getting like changed by the morph power.
I was actually me and
Armadillo Ranger, you know, maybe someone's got like a Scorpion Ranger thing.
Well, me and Ryan were actually looking at all the desert animals and shit. So.
Rattlesnake, Scorpion, Armadillo.
It's morphin' time.
Yes, dude.
I'm loving it. That's great.
Oh.
Well, thanks for coming on, Dusk. It's been great having you.
Yeah, I appreciate it for having me. All right.
Okay, Sam. So that back to where you were in your cosmology.
I'm coming to the end. I only have about 2 more left here. Finishing it up, we have Arcaron, Archeron, I believe, was located between lawful evil and lawful neutral in alignment, and was a place where armies of the outer planes would come to do battle in the afterlife. The 4 layers, Avalis, Uldanin, Tintibulus, and Ocanthus, each consisted of huge blocks of hard black iron-like material the size of countries that floated through the air, joining for a time and then parting again. While blocks were touching, a being could move from one block to the next. And if I do remember correctly, gravity was centered on the center of each block. So once you would move to a different block, the gravity would kind of shift. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that would be kind of interesting. And last but not least, we have the Outlands, or the Concordant Opposition. Also known as the Friendly Opposition, God's Land, or simply the Land, was the plane of true neutrality. And anyone who watches our TikToks knows I think I just posted a episode or a video about what it means to be true neutral, so check that out. So the Outlands was an infinite plane, just like all the others, yet it had a definite center. It had a sphere with the sigil on top. The properties of all the other outer planes were mixed together in the Outlands. Good, evil, law, and chaos existed here in all their forms, but they were less able to affect each other due to the neutralizing effect of this plane. But yes, that in a little bit of a nutshell, or a wheel, is the great cosmology of the Forgotten Realms, of everything.
We went all around. It was wild. Took a pit stop in Power Ranger Land for a minute, because that's going to be a cool campaign.
Yeah, and hopefully future episodes we talk about the inner planes, the elemental planes, positive and energy planes, the para-elemental, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of bullshit. There's a whole lot to get
bunch of it. Yeah, I'm personally very excited. But you know what's also very exciting, Sam?
Yes.
Well, I was going to segue into something, but I have to make sure that I am ready to make things work properly this time.
Is it time for our homebrew feature? Or
it is.
Generic realm, lots of fun, excellent.
Generic realm, my guy. Generic realm. So, naturally, I've been kind of combing the Reddits and the internet and looking for some great DM tools. Now, this is a little something different than what I usually bring in for a homebrew, because the guy that worked on this put a lot of effort, and this is the Kleptonomicon.
Okay.
Now, let me adjust the thing right
here. Book?
So that no, actually.
Oh.
The Kleptonomicon is a loot generator.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I sent it to you recently.
You did send it. It's true.
Yeah, it looked like a book with a cover, and then I kind of looked into it. So it's really just amazing. Like I'm gonna just hit it a couple times here. The Mariner's Mark Blade, a menacing dagger with a razor-sharp blade made from a large shark's tooth. Critical hit with the weapon allows the wielder the sense of where the creature is that they wounded. The creature is within a mile of them is bleeding. Okay, so cool. So like, it also makes like magic items on the fly. So like,
these are gonna be generated magic items too. Ooh.
Yeah, like dude, like there's over 1,400 things on here. Like say you're at a loss for what kind of loot a person picks up off a body. It's like, okay, let's look through their stuff. What do they got? Right here, a large cooking pot made of iron.
Nice.
Okay, a damaged spell scroll, a burnt scroll. Reading from the scroll makes it transform into a swarm of fireflies.
Ooh.
Yeah, see, interesting little things. It's like sometimes, sometimes you're just drawing a blank and you want fun stuff to throw to your players. And like, if you think something's a little too powerful, like maybe you thought that Shark's Tooth thing was a little much, which I personally thought it was pretty balanced, low end magic.
And it's like,
like
these are all very interesting things. Like muffle bag, a cylindrical canvas bag with handles. The bag is 3 times larger on the inside. Once closed, any noise made from within the bag is barely audible. So you could be like, okay, it's like a backpack, but it's like 3 times the size of a normal backpack. So you could, it's like not as good as a bag of holding, but you know, it's interesting. Like imagine having a purse that's 3 times the size on the inside and makes everything quiet. So that's a good thing for a stealthy character, you know? Like maybe you're going for like a rogue. You're just like, okay, boom, pop all your noisy clickety clacks in there. Good to go. Nothing is giving you away with that bag.
I love it. Yeah, I definitely love new tools, you know, to make DMs' lives easier.
Yeah, honestly, like if you're like me, part of my DM screen is my computer.
Yeah,
it's like I'll have a DM screen in front of me, my laptop to one side. It's like boom, got everything laid out right in front of me, good to go. Well, got this. And then tools like this, because I'm gonna have a couple tabs open when I'm DMing. It's like if I'm drawing a blank, boom, hit a button. Puddle of ink. A puddle of writing ink is rapidly moving away from anything that tries to touch it. That's interesting. That can distract the players while you're trying to come up with something, because sometimes the creativity juices aren't flowing. And I love little things like this. Entire thing is very playful, and it's brought to us by Cardboard Anvil. We can check out their Patreon. They make lots of amazing things there, and I'm trying to see about getting Cardboard Anvil to come on the show, because first off, this stuff is amazing, and second off, it's not the only thing that Cardboard Anvil makes. Like tons of things have gone into this list, and I'm assuming that a lot of it was previous homebrews that Cardboard Anvil has worked on before. They got a Patreon.
Yeah, I believe it.
18 members for over 68 posts. That's pretty amazing. Like, if you got over 18 people paying you each month for your homebrews, you gotta have something good. So, yep, come on, everybody. Absolutely. Give them a look. The Kleptonomicon is free to use, as it's a little generator link, and I will be putting that in the description after the show. I love it. It's great.
Oh yeah, man.
And what you got going, Sam?
So today I brought, and I was also kind of looking through the deep Reddits, for something interesting. And I found the short sword of Eldritch Striking, created by somebody named DK Saint.
I was trying to find that when you sent me a link earlier, and I think it led me to like a. Oh, it was the first comment. That's what it was. Okay.
It's just
let me just
not even like a
pull that up here.
I just thought it was a cool thing. Looking through the forums, see if there was any interesting ideas. And I saw that this guy had this idea, and I liked it. I thought, why not talk about it? So
I do like the
they
idea.
were creating a magic sword. Yeah, I think it's really cool. So, the sword crackles with eldritch energies. As attacks made with this weapon undercut magic resistance. It's considered a +2 short sword, and it's +2 to attack and damage rolls. When you roll your damage roll, roll 2d4 thunder damage. When you are wielding this weapon and you spend your action to cast a cantrip, you can spend your bonus action to make a melee attack with this weapon on a creature within 5 feet. When the creature is hit with the weapon, you can spend 1 charge to impose it with disadvantage on the saving throw against the next spell you cast before the end of your next turn. This weapon comes with 1d4 plus 3 charges with maximum of 7, and regains 1d4 plus 3 charges at the dawn each day. I like it.
I can see this being a amazing sword for your average Hexblade build, anyone who's going Eldritch Knight, or what is it, Blade Dancers, the wizard one. But all of those would greatly benefit from this, because boom, cantrip, and then bonus action, fuck you with a sword.
That could be really cool. You know, I had such a heavy topic today. I would look for something kind of light. You know, I like this.
This is very diet, and I like it. Honestly, I think this is the first time we brought in a magic item from a comment section.
This is true, I believe. Yeah.
So shout out to DK Saint for this fun idea. And
thanks.
Honestly, I'd like to see. We should get in contact with DK Saint and see about having a proper stat block made for this and getting it posted up so that it's easy access for people. You know. So
you know, this was 7 months ago, so it was a little bit of an oldie. But maybe he would be
oldie, but you know, maybe we could. Maybe it's already been turned into a proper stat block. But you know what? Let's see if we can get DK Saint on the show. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be cool. Anybody who, don't reach out to him. We got this. We don't want to ask people to reach out to anybody. But yeah, that's all I have for the homebrew today. I believe next up we have
fair enough.
Descriptify, right?
Ah, yes. The ever-present Descriptify. Now, given the content of our show this week, I did go light on it with most of our audience probably knows this word, but I still think that it's a fun descriptive word, beguile. Now, beguile, it means to deceive by guile or charm, to deprive something of someone via deceit, to cheat somebody, to distract them, divert their attention. Now, these are the kinds of things, like, as always with Descriptify, we want to give the DMs better descriptive tools. And beguile's like, okay, like maybe you get someone that's like, they're not sure. Well, you see that the bartender is being beguiled by a young elven woman as she kind of plays with her drink a little bit, biting her lips seductively. You know, like I like it. It's a fun word.
Yeah, it kind of sets the tone for not just someone seducing somebody, but imposing a certain kind of charm. You know.
Yeah, like when you hear someone say that, it's like, okay, yeah, this person's being charmed, but like not like charmed by a spell, like being beguiled. Okay, because like if you hear someone's being charmed in your typical RPG setting, it's like, oh shit, there's magic afoot. Not necessarily the case here.
It's just charisma. You got that riz.
Got that riz, buddy. Got that riz.
Hell yeah. I like it. And I did also see that this also means to help time pass pleasantly. I'm not sure what context you would use it in like that.
If someone's going to make my time pass pleasantly, I'm gung-ho for it.
Yeah, I guess you would be being beguiled in that case.
Yes.
You know?
I will willingly be beguiled if it's a shitty day and I need to pass some time.
Oh yeah, I agree. But
At any rate, I think that covers just about everything. And we're really light on news this week, but there is one piece of news.
Yes, hit us with the facts.
Okay, so apparently, now I cannot confirm or deny, but the word on the street is that they finally patched a bug that made it so certain characters in Baldur's Gate 3, like their dicks were clipping like through their pants. So they had to patch that, and a lot of players are really upset with this development because like you get to well, apparently it was you could choose different dicks in the game, and apparently Dick C and Dick D were clipping through the pants of certain characters. That just sounds hilarious.
That's so funny.
That's not a flaw, that's a feature right there, buddy. It's a beguiling feature.
We come full circle again, as we do at the Nerd Militia. Full circle, like the Great Wheel Cosmology.
We did it again.
Who will stop them?
When can you stop winning? So, I think that's it for tonight. It's been a great show. I'm looking forward to covering the Great Wheel of Cosmology in all its individual parts, because it seems that all of them have so much to dive into and talk about, and so many potential ways to use them in games.
They don't get enough love. So you know what?
They really don't. It's about time, honestly. I want to see more D&D campaigns, whether you're playing Pathfinder or otherwise. We need to see more fantasy dive into these realms of spice things up. You meet in a tavern? Fuck no! You meet in another realm.
Yeah, man. Oh my god, I met this guy in the Beastlands. It's crazy. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Dungeons and Talk Shows. I am Sam.
And I'm Orion. And
thank you for listening.
You can check us. Yeah, you can check us out at our Twitter. We have the YouTube channel, the Rumble, all those things in the description. Follow us if you want to see more of what we got going on. And have a great week, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Dungeons and Talk Shows, brought to you by the Nerd Militia. Check us out on Patreon or Discord if you want to support us. And if you want to get more Nerd Militia content, you can follow us on Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, and YouTube, or really any of the usual podcasting platforms. But as always, we're nerds, so what do we know?